Well, good morning. My name's Tom Ledger, and my wife and I just went to Papua New Guinea. And so I want to bring you up to speed a little bit with this story. I love to tell the story. That was part of our song that we just sang. But my wife said after all the traveling for 3 weeks, she said, I need to stay home. So she stayed home, and here I am. But well, we do represent ROC International. ROC is actually an acronym, stands for Resources of Crucial Knowledge. And so people need to know what the Bible is all about. So that's kind of where we're going. But the story that I want to say that we just went on this travel here for the month of July started way back when, 1992, took our family with New Tribes Mission at that time to 2000. We went to Papua New Guinea, and we went into a tribal setting and then worked with folks there, training missionaries to be missionaries. And we came back in 2000. Then we worked with Good Seed. Some of you are familiar with The Stranger on the Road to Emmaus. And in 2018, we switched over to ROC International. And at that point, somebody from Papua New Guinea sent me in my email a rough draft of The Stranger in Tok Pisin, the trade language of the people. And so from 2018 to 2023, we went about making that a good translation. And then we said, okay, now that we have a translation, what do we want to do? So we took this book, King of Glory. Some of you are familiar with this book anyway, which is an overview of the Bible. And so we translated it into Tok Pisin. And so we printed it and sent out 9,000 copies at that time, back in 2023. And then people said, hey, I didn't get a copy. So what do you do? I mean, okay, they're all gone. I mean, too bad. So we said, okay, well, let's see what we can do to print some more. And so we have different ministries, and we partner together with them. RMA out of Ireland, and then Worldwide Outreach, they also came in involved. So different ministries came together, and so we said, okay, let's print some more. So we printed, first of all, the English version. We did that out of China, so we got a great price there. And so we brought those in February of this year. And so I went over there. Long story short on that one, I got sick on day 2. The doctor there said, I need to chain you to this bed. I said, you can't do that. I got too much work. So I did everything, came back. I was sick anyway. But we got 20,000 English copies out. The concept is to go into the school system. They have RI classes, religious instruction classes. So we were trying to get the English ones into the schools so that they can know the Bible. And then we just finished with this Tok Pisin one. We got 30,000 copies over there. So anyway, I just want to talk about partnering together and laboring for Jesus Christ. Let's see if this thing works. Okay. Luke 19:10, for the Son of Man has come to seek and to save that which was lost. And so the question is, what was Jesus' purpose in life? And that's one of them, to seek the lost. And for I have come down from heaven not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me. So here's some of it. Now, one of the things that we've been doing just with the King of Glory material is also develop it into a Christian camp presentation. So every summer, camps all across the United States, Canada, everywhere else, they present the gospel, or that's a lot of what they're trying to do for the campers that show up. So we said, okay, is there something that we can do? So we have a presentation where we took the English version of this. We said, okay, let's make a 5 one-hour presentation, and then and so this way in 5 classes or presentations you can present the gospel. But my mind gets going. I love an inventing kind of stuff. I said, well, what could we do that in a puzzle? And so I made a 4-foot by 3-foot puzzle. Each piece, I have one piece back there. Each piece is like 17, 18 inches square. It's about 2 inches thick. And so this way you can give one of the kids and say, okay, you got to put it on. And so there's only 7 places, so they'll probably figure out where it goes. Anyway, so we are right now inventing this on a large scale. This is one-off that I did in my shop, but now we're trying to do this on a way that we could produce them and get them around. But anyway, how do we get the gospel out and about? I don't know of anybody. I mean, I've heard of track. You know, you have tracks that you hand out or that kind of stuff. We want to do a puzzle presentation of the gospel. So that's kind of what we're doing. When we did this, we did a trial run up in Canada. Then from there, we did another one here at my church in Coeur d'Alene. And there was one gentleman, he was actually from Israel, teenager guy, and so he came, and I would always watch, how is he doing, is he paying attention at all? And he did. Just so you know, he was atheistic, and so he went through that, and at the end, one of the puzzle pieces, you can see at the very bottom there, is the cross. And so I asked, does anybody, what is the language for the Bible? And they named the 3 different languages the Bible was translated. I said, does anybody, speak that, one of those languages? I knew he did. He raised his hand and says, yeah, I speak that. So I said, come on up here. And I gave him that puzzle piece to make sure that he got to see it and put it in there at that time. But anyway, he, at the end of the week, had lots of questions, and he placed his faith in Christ. And now he's overseas again. So anyway, that's exciting. At this point in time, Rock is developing, I think we have over 115 languages presently that we've worked on. Recently, we're working on Italian and Greek. With all the wars going on, we've been doing things like Hebrew for Israel, Ukrainian for that war, and then Yemeni, Arabic Yemeni. So anyway, we've hit some of the war places just by chance as well. Now this piece of the puzzle that we were doing for the camp curriculum, we call it an iPod. Some of you actually used to have one of these, a music device, but that has nothing to do with this. It's just an acronym. Our identity, what's our purpose, where do we start, where do we go, kind of origin and destination. And so we would ask these questions along the way. Well, how about the identity of God, the identity of Satan, the identity of man, the identity of Jesus, he is God. And then how about you specifically? What's your identity? What's your origin? What's your destination? So bringing these things. And my question here is, for you, what is your purpose? Do you have a purpose even? Have you ever thought of that? I mean, do you just wake up, eat, sleep, go back to work kind of thing? Is that what your purpose is? Or are you actually going somewhere with your life? Anyway. So Matthew 9 says, then he said to his disciples, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Beseech the Lord of the harvest to send out workers into this harvest. Luke 10 is very, very similar to that, but the laborers are few again. So do you have spiritual eyes for what the Lord has in mind for you to do? We can say that, hey, I'm saved, and that's great. That's a big, mark. But what would the Lord do with you? He's got each one of us gifted by the Holy Spirit. What is that gift, and how do you utilize it for his kingdom? You could say things like this: I go to church, okay, for a definition of Christian, or my passion in life is what God wants. That's my passion, whatever God wants. And so we need to refocus our lives and say, okay, Lord, what have you done in me, where I am in the body of Christ, in Montana, wherever? How do I take what I am, what you've given me, and utilize it for your glory? That's what we want to think about. In our travels, just so you know, we happen to have done this past month, but I just want to point out this whole thing out of Psalms 115. Not to us, O Lord, not to us, but to your name give glory because of your loving kindness, because of your truth. Lori and I just had an incredible month. We saw stuff. God just coordinated things before our very eyes, and we were shocked in a good way. Like, wow, Lord, look at what you're doing. And so all the glory goes to God here. Psalms 138, the Lord will accomplish what concerns me. We had lots of thoughts, lots of concerns, lots of unknowns, and the Lord accomplished so much during that time. And so 1 Corinthians 9, to the weak I became weak that I might win the weak. I become all things to all men so that I may by all means save some. And so when we say what kind of means, well, for us, it was these two basic books here. And then we also did in English the study guide. Because of the school system, we were able to get that in. when we did that, we packaged our books, 9 texts in one study guide. We just didn't have the money to give out as much as we'd like to do. So we packaged it in wraps of 10, and we said at least the teacher could have the study guide, have the questions, or Sunday school, whatever that teacher kind of person is. And so they could teach, and then the students can have the book and go that way. And so I want to talk about some of the things that we did when we were over there. Now, you got to realize a container, they're 20-footers and there's 40-footers. They're 8 foot by 8 foot. They're big blocks of metal, and then you stick books in them, and then they got very, very heavy. And so that's kind of what we were doing. So RMA out of Ireland said they would print the books for us. And so anyway, we went back and forth, and we did this. Well, our books are different than their normal printing. So anyway, they say, well, we're going to have to actually go to the commercial printer to do this. And so it became something. They're afraid when they say, Tom, we're doing what for you? Last time it broke our printers and all this. Anyway, so there's so much behind the scenes. I can tell you the quick version. We sent books, we distributed. There's so much behind the scenes just in getting there. And so we are constantly praying, asking God, how do we do this? How do you get around it? How do you go through it? How do you finance it? All these kind of things. Anyway, so RMA has really done a great work there to help us to get this far. Some of you know about the Houthis. They have a channel of water there, and they like to cause havoc. So to go from Ireland, instead of going through that nice quick passage, they had to go all the way down and around the south tip of Africa and come around to Singapore and all that stuff. So anyway, that's kind of what we had to do there. So Papua New Guinea, let's look and see. From Coeur d'Alene, we went down to Papua New Guinea, just south of the equator. Here's the land. And so you can see some numbers here. Port Moresby is the capital. And then interior, we went to Goroka, the highlands there. And then number 3 is a place called Bougainville. I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we get into it. Those are the locations. You can see they're separate. And so we're flying into the capital, number 1, and then we have to fly to number 2 because there's no road from the capital to interior. So one of the things is logistics. It's a huge nightmare if you're trying to do book distribution. You can't get from here to there. And so how do you do that kind of stuff? And then again, number 3 is way over on the other side of the water there. So let's start off with Port Moresby as we fly in there on our first flight. First of all, the country itself is about 10 million people population. That's nice, but there's 850 different tribal languages or so. So that's like driving down the road every 10 miles and you're in another language group or that kind of stuff. Some of them are as small as 200 people. Some of them are, 2 to 400,000 people kind of thing. So there's some big ones too. But so you have some struggles. Now, how can I take 2 languages and go there? Well, over the years, the country has said, let's put English as our main language. So they're teaching in the schools, and the government uses English. So, okay, we got something going there. And over the years, people have been learning English, and Melanesian Pidgin English is a English derivative, if I can use that terminology. And so that's another language. And then you have the vernacular language. So you can do this. So typically, we're finding that about 3/4 of the population speaks one of the 2 languages, English or Tuk Pisin. And then they also have their tribal language or vernacular language. So that's one thing. You can see the different colors up here. Those are not states, but provinces. They have 22 provinces. My goal was, God, if you would, I want to get something into all 22 provinces. That's a goal. Have you ever had that? I want to do something. I don't know how it's going to happen at all, but that's what I want to do. Well, when I was sitting in Port Moresby after this whole thing, I was just writing down, jotting down as much as I could, things that I actually heard somebody say that they went to a certain tribe with some books and they got it into a place. Well, as I sat there, I got down that I could actually put down 18 provinces that I had. I said, well, thank you, God. But it's not 22. So I said, okay. So we started looking, talking to people and everything, and then we found a person going to that one. Oh, could you take some of these? And okay, I'm going to take 10 of these books over there. Okay, fine. And I checked that one off to say there is a book there. We had two guys that were just passing through, and I said, where are you from? Manus. Oh, Manus province? Way up top. Sorry, I can't point to it. It's way up there top. And I said, you're going to that island? Yeah, the two of us are. I said, okay, you each get a book. So check, I got one more. Anyway, I got the third one. When I left, I had one more province. I says, okay, Lord, help us to accomplish that goal. Hey, it's a silly goal. It's my own personal thing. But I said, Lord, that's how I just want to make sure that we've spread it out and not heaped it up in one spot there. So that was a goal of mine. So we did bring 30,000 books over there. That's a lot of books. Now this little pile here, that's my wife Lori. Actually, that's not my wife. That's a picture of my wife, just so you know. Anyway, sometimes it's confusing. This is what's left. When we brought in the 20,000 English books, we put 10,000 interior, 10,000 in Port Moresby. And so a church said, okay, you can store them here. What an answer to prayer. Again, if you have books, you don't want water on them. And so, but where do you store them? I don't have any provisions in Papua New Guinea. I just make friends along the way, and then I don't use friends. Anyway, I asked if they would help me. Anyway, they said, yes, we can store there. And so we stored the books. This is the end of it. Again, we gave them 10,000 books to store as we were finding ways. We were hoping that this would go in the school system. I had talked with the Department of Education there, and they were very pleasant. Yes, we like this thing, but nothing happened. At the end of the day, nothing ever happened. I tried following up. So I said, wow, I had 10,000 books for schools, and it's not going anywhere. Well, we had one ministry that said, hey, we can use 2,000. I said, okay, you got 2,000. Another ministry have 2,000. So that they took off. And then we had some guys, I get ahead of my story, that were in prisons, so they were going to take some. And this past time we got out there, and I better not get ahead of my story. Anyway, but we were getting down. Here's what we have now, and I believe that I actually have gone down to 0 or below 0, which means I handed out too many books and somebody's going to be sorry. But anyway, but I just want to make sure that they're all gone at the end of the day. This couple is a great Aussie couple, Robin and Jim and all, and they have a little, what do you call it, a lodge for missionaries that are coming and going through Papua New Guinea, and you typically have to come through the capital there. And so many different organizations, and so all day long, Lori and I could just meet with new people, different places, different provinces, what they're trying to accomplish. We would talk to them and then say, hey, do you need some books? And they go, yes. And so that was great. This is one gal that was there, a gal named Valerie. She was from the tribal area called the Huli. Here, I'm going to show you the next picture. That's what the Huli Wigmen look like. Okay, that's when they're in their decoration kind of stuff. But she was talking about how aggressive the people are. They would rob people on the road, and so people wouldn't want to drive on the road kind of thing. Anyway, a turn of events, these Huli folks came in to the missionaries. They said, hey, we want to give ourselves in. We're done kind of thing. It's like, wow, what happened? What made you change your mind kind of stuff? They said, but you can't just tell us missionaries. You have to tell the government and the police and all that stuff. And they said, okay, and they did. So just incredible how they repented in their own way. And the police said, okay, we will pardon you, but you can't do this anymore. So anyway, it was kind of interesting just to see how we can go from wars, internal wars, to living in peace in a sense. This gal, she was a missionary with SIL. She's over in one area, and as we talked, she said, oh, my mother-in-law, she needs this. So anyway, I said, here you go. It's in Korean. You could utilize that. So that was another good thing. And then she wanted to use them for her people. And then there's another gentleman here that we met along the way. These guys here, sorry, the pictures, I have some very blurry pictures because I have a burner phone that I used in the country, and it's just that. It's just the cheapest thing that you can get, but you get a phone. Anyway, so that's why you get blurry pictures here. But the white skin back there, Paul, great guy. As we were chatting, he said, well, could I get 5,000 to 7,000 copies? I had to take a breath back and go, what? You want that many? His heart was for the inmates. You ever think about it? Doesn't Jesus talk something about set the prisoners free? And here's a chance kind of thing. Well, this other gentleman here, he was the one that actually says yes or no kind of thing. And he said, well, I'll take 300 right now. I said, okay, well, let's start with 300. Anyway, he's taken that, and then he's also taken another prison, another prison. Okay, I got a question. And you got to be 10 or under to answer this, okay? So anybody 10 and under, you can answer, and there is a prize. Okay, what letter, you got to raise your hand to answer. What letter do prisons start with in Papua New Guinea? Anyone want to guess? Raise your hand if so. Anyone? What letter do prisons start with in Papua New Guinea? Come on, somebody can guess. Nobody? You're all too shy? Okay, no prize then. All right, adults, raise your hand if you want to guess what letter it starts with. You're going to raise your hand. Okay, yes. The letter R, no? No? Scratching the head, okay. All right, well, I'll tell you then. The letter B, I don't know, but it just, every prison starts with the letter B, so okay. Okay, I met these two also there. One guy is in charge of churches, one guy is in charge of schools in the Chimbu area. And so he said, okay, and what are you thinking here? And they said, well, we will scale it out to all the churches and we'll scale it out to all the schools. And so they each wanted 1,000 copies to start off with. So anyway, another neat contact. We're just going along not knowing what we're doing. I am not some great guy who figured this out, just so you know. Definitely not. And so here's the story with this gentleman. This guy's name is Rex. But the story goes like this. Lori and I are a little bit hesitant of going outside because, hey, they got some bad guys out there. They do. And so you want to be careful with your purse and your monies and things like that. But I said, okay, from here down to there and back, we could probably take a walk down to the veggie market. So, okay, we need to get outside. We need to just stretch, but we want to be safe as well. So we said, okay, down to the veggie market, we're going to go. So we're walking on down there, and if you can see that fence behind that big wall, it's metal. That's the way you're walking down alongside the road, and these fences are up and down the sides because of rascals, burglars, that kind of stuff. And everybody has their own private gate and their own private guard. And so that guard is right there. And so we're walking down, and I must have said something to one of the guards. I can't even remember to this day, but I said something. He goes, oh, okay. And so next thing you know, he says, follow me. And now he turns the back. He's going that way. So I said, Lori, I don't know, but we're supposed to follow him. So we turn around, and I figured, okay, he's just going to show us something back here. So we started walking. Well, we walked quarter mile, almost to the half mile mark, and I'm like, what are we doing? I don't even know who this guy is and why we're following him. But anyway, we follow him, and we come to this gate here. So I talked to the gatekeeper here, and they go, this is the school. And so this is a school teacher. His name is Rex. And so he says, oh, yeah, we could utilize your material. And so next thing you know, we're giving books to this school. And then, so let's see, here's the school kids there. And then this gentleman is one of the leaders of this school. He's more than a principal. He's like a superintendent, something like that. And so he said, yeah, I can use these schools. I got 3 or 4 schools, and we can utilize these books there. Okay, very good. I said, oh, by the way, the King of Glory book is also in a movie. movie? We have a TV program. Could we show it on there? And he says, oh, I'd love to show it to you sometime, maybe in the next couple days. Well, let's go right now. So next thing I know, I'm at the TV station checking it out and seeing what it is. So we wrote an MOU, and they're going to broadcast on their TV station. So this is the kind of stuff that God, I have a grandson. He's less than 2 years old, and I walk with him. He's down here. If I was him, it'd be like this, you know? And that kind of thing is what I felt like it was going on. I'm walking with God holding my hand and going, oh, here we go. Oh, here we go now, and kind of stuff. Anyway. Well, we went interior to Goroka area, fly into there. That's about an hour flight, something like that. And then while we're there, we see all kinds of different things. This is just a very decorative necklace. But two of the things that's going on in these tribal areas is animism and syncretism. Animism is the belief that you can animate objects like the bamboo, the water. The spirit world will enter into those things and animate them. They live in fear of the spirit world. Okay, you ever have that concept where you have a spider and it just went down your back? You know, you don't even have to be afraid of spiders. It's like, no, I don't want it there, kind of thing. And that fear, well, in a sense, that's how they live. There's a constant fear of the spirit world. And you manipulate the spirit world by, using the power of this one to protect you against that one and all this. Anyway, the other word is syncretism, and it's mashing two different belief systems together. So they will say that they're 98% Christian over there kind of stuff. So they take this belief of church, and then they take their animistic belief and they mash them together and come up with a third belief system that's neither this one nor that one kind of thing. So those are some of the things that you're working against while you're there. I have a dear friend of mine, this gentleman here, his name is Bon. He actually grew up in the tribe that we went to initially back in 1992 and all. When he first went to school, he told me that he wore plants. That was his clothing. That's how in the first grade kind of stuff. But the Lord took him from that point. He was, a good learner in school. And then somebody said, hey, I'll send you down to Australia, and you can go to university down there. So we went down to uni. And while he was there, he got saved. And then his training was a technician, so he knows radio and computers, and came back and he started helping missionaries with their radios and computers and things like that. But this guy has a heart for the Lord. It's just amazing. And so a dear brother in the Lord. And so he helps me out in so many ways. We write back and forth all the time on email. And anyway, he loves preaching. Just the other day, he sent me an email, said, hey, I want to be teaching other trainers, and I want to do outreach. And so he had some thoughts on how to do that kind of stuff. But here he is with the books at that time. This gentleman here is with MAF. MAF is Missionary Aviation Fellowship. They fly airplanes, and they fly it all over the place. Well, for somebody like me who wants to do distribution, and there's not much on the roads, I like this guy. And besides that, he has such a heart for the gospel. He goes, oh, can we get these books? And we like lots of them, and they're actually storing them for me right now. And at the same time, he said, I will get 10,000 books out and about. And he says, okay, very good. And so anyway, I said, well, wait. I want to make sure that you understand my heart for the gospel. So I sat down and I poured out my heart with him. And he goes, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I said, good. So here's somebody that's in country, that has storage, that has a heart for the gospel, has avenues to getting it out and about. And then this gal here in the middle, she is kind of the secretary, and she is such a good secretary too. I write to her and she says, I did it. And I said, oh, I love that. And I said, oh, by the way, could you just show me a little bit of where these books have already gone? And she made a spreadsheet and sent it to me. Like, oh, okay, this is cool. So anyway, and these other two guys are very, very sharp folks that are working with the gospel there too. Different avenues. From there, we said, okay, we're going to take some books to SIL, Summer Institute of Linguistics, Wycliffe, maybe you've heard of that. So it's about a 2-hour ride. We filled up the pickup truck and went down the road. Some of the road is pretty bad in the sense of people can rob you, those kind of things. So anyway, we're always praying safety and things like that. We finally got there, and so we went to SIL here and dropped off 1,200 copies at this point. They wanted 2,500 total, and they're going into all these different provinces, 200 here, 60 there, and so the missionary can teach and utilize it for the gospel there. Let me go back here. While we were there, one of the guys there is an inventor kind of guy, and he says, how do we get the gospel out better? So he uses his brains and the technology and puts solar panels with a projector, with an audio, with a microphone, and so you can go out in the middle of the jungle and put on your solar panel and then charge up your projector and then show the movie like King of Glory in the language for the folks. So anyway, we bought 2 units, and guess what? I didn't know where they're going. I just knew we were supposed to buy them. So we went by faith buying 2 units, and there's more to the story later, but anyway, we'll see how. But this is the kind of stuff I end up doing, going, God, I don't know why, but I'm supposed to. So I just do that kind of thing. Again, my friend Bon, and so I said, Bon, we need to finish up what we missed last time. In 2023, we had done the Tukpizin version audio recording for the movie. So we got the movie all done, and that's in the can, and you can actually click on it online and listen in Tukpizin. But what we did not finish was the wrap-up to the movie. We have 4 different pieces: the good news, the bad news, you're a sinner, Jesus Christ paid for that sin, and by placing your faith. So those are the 4 points. Each one of those are about a 9-minute video segment. So I said, Bon, come on, we need to record this. When I was there in February, we attempted, and I failed miserably. Anyway, so we said, okay, we took a bedroom scenario, we turned it into a studio, and so here we are setting up the sound, lights, the lavalier microphones, and so we projected here up in front of him. His eyesight is not so good, so we made it as big as we could so he can read it without glasses and everything else. So anyway, so we recorded that. So next I'll be heading over to Indianapolis so we can record it and put it in the can and then put it back on the internet for people to be able to utilize. So here we are leaving, and you see that big white bag. There are weight limits, 15 kgs, that's 34, 5 pounds, whatever. And so we were saying, okay, let's go. We went to the place in which we're gonna have to pay for this over baggage. And so we get there, but every bag we made was 15 kgs or less, just under. And so we put on bag 1, the guy's looking, okay, bag 2, okay, bag 3, okay. Well, we only get 2 bags. He didn't say anything, so I wasn't going to say anything. Anyway, so he let us go because they were under 15 gauge. So we just thank the Lord for that. So from Port Moresby, we went back to Port Moresby, the capital, and now we're going to go to that island. Remember that island way over on the side there? The place is called Bougainville. For about 50 years, it's been war-torn. I mean, just disruptive. There's all kinds of stuff. You can go online and you can read all kinds of stuff there. But in the future, possibly September of this year or the 27, the UN might recognize it as its own country. So that could be the newest country in the world coming up. The population I was getting between 300 and 600,000 people for that. And church-wise, they have Catholic, SDA, which is Seventh-day, Methodist, Baptist, Pentecostals, a variety of other things there. But very much war-torn. And for me, I was struggling. Knowing, wait a second, we don't know what's over there, what we're going to get into. I have my wife with me. What's happening? I want to be safe. I don't want to be sorry kind of thing. And so I was anxious. But at the same time, I said, I truly believe God has impressed on me, go there. Why? To do what? I don't know. But I was impressed to go there. So let's look at some things. Because of war-torn country, John 14:27 says, peace I leave with you. Peace has a source. It's from Jesus. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Do not let your heart be troubled, nor let it be fearful. Again, I was anxious, bit fearful. But anyway, John 8:31-2. So Jesus was saying to those Jews who had believed him, if you continue in my word, then you are truly disciples of mine, and you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. So for freedom for Bougainville, it is Jesus himself and the Word of God. Luke 4 says, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captive and recovery of sight to the blind, to set free those who are oppressed. And so if you think of it, think of Bougainville, pray for their peace, pray for the gospel to truly go in. We are sending in 3,000 copies of the book, and I've already put in the back mind, if those go out too fast, send another 3,000 copies there as well. So I got some different contacts there today, which I never had before. Galatians 5, it was for freedom that Christ set us free. So my questions before I left was, where are we going to stay? And over there, they don't have ATM credit card things, so you bring money, pocketfuls of money. I mean, you get all these dollar bills. And the kina is about 1 to 4 to the US dollar. So, if you bring, if you need $100 to spend, that's 400 kina, which is a lot of money. Anyway, so I'm going to be carrying raw cash in my pocket. Now I'm a target for robberies and stuff, safety. Who do we meet? But you ever have that when the Lord just says, do this, and you don't have all the answers? Basically I was a bit afraid. And I was looking at some things here. Genesis 12, now the Lord said to Abram, go forth from your country and from your relatives. Okay, go away from where you know and from your father's house to the land which I will show you. So Abram went forth as the Lord had spoken to him. He didn't have a map. He didn't have an actual location. I'll show you. When you get there, I'll stop your tracks and then you'll know. The next part in Hebrews 11 coincides with this. By faith, Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went. Even though, and I want to stop you there, even though, what was going on in Sarah's mind or some of the others? The fear, what are we doing? Where are we going? How much food should we carry? I mean, is this a week trip or a month trip or what, kind of thing? All the doubts going on. He did not know where he was going. I tell you, those are sketchy things. I don't know where you're at. Do you have something which, Lord, I believe you're pushing me or showing me I need to go do something, and you haven't a clue. All you know is that kind of direction. Buy some land. Go do a business. Go minister to a person over the fence from you. I don't know. Those are scary things. Very scary things. You don't know. And the ignorance that you have on the don't know part is the scariest part. Because what will happen? Will I look like a fool? My shame, those kind of things. But I believe that we are to trust him with his prompting, his Holy Spirit prompting in us. So often Christians can go, I'm going to go only with the what I knows, instead of the prompting of the Lord to say, hey, this is what I need you to do. And so think of those. 2 Chronicles 14, then Esau called to the Lord his God and said, Lord, so he approached him directly, there is no one like you to help the powerless against the mighty. He recognized exactly what was going on. I'm powerless. That's a mighty one. I can see that. It's obvious. Help us, O Lord our God, for we rely on you. In your name, we have come against this vast army. O Lord, you are our God. Do not let man prevail against you. He knew the reality of we have nothing, they are big. And yet he approached God, he prayed to God, he trusted God, he did what was right. Psalms 31, how great is your goodness, which you have stored up for those who fear you. See, there's two parts of fear. Fear of the unknown and fear of God. A reverential fear. A fear that says, I trust you. You're so big. You're so mighty. You're the one that I need to actually appropriately fear, not the unknowns per se. In the fear of the Lord, there is strong confidence. What? There's strong confidence there to go forward. And that's what I needed. Bible school days, we heard this phrase, don't doubt in the darkness what God has shown you in the light. Don't doubt in the darkness what God... There are places and times when God has said, go do such and such. And then later on you go, okay, I'm ready to do that. Oh man, am I thinking this one through? And so we headed over to Bougainville on an airplane, and we get there. We see this sign, AROB, and that means Autonomous Region of Bougainville. Right away, the word for them is to say, we are our own. We are separated from everything else. Now, right now, they are actually part of Papua New Guinea. They are. But this is what they want. They want to be their own land. And so there's kind of a rift right off the bat when you see the sign. But again, this area is between 300 and 600,000 population, depending on who you look at. And they have probably about 20 languages or so. Back in the war, they were part of 1902 Australia. Then World War II, Japan overtook. And 1975, PNG became its own land. And then there was a big copper mine, and so Panguna mine, and that's a whole nother story. But they said, oh, you're taking all this money and the copper and everything, and we're not getting anything. So war came up because of that. So from back in the 70s till about 1999, they were in war kind of thing. 1999, they had a peace agreement, and yet still there's still things happening there, kind of stuff, even though it's not war per se. So let's see, what did I want to say? But anyway, it's just one of those things. How are the people going to react to us? I don't know why my computer's not going now. Okay, there we go. All right. So we went there to the country, and we went interior. We went to the Rising Sun Lodge and met this gal, Berta. And so she gave us a lot of blessings just by being there. Buka, which is the name of the main city, their skin is extra dark. Okay, our people in Papua New Guinea are typically brown. You might notice that she's extra dark there. But just very, very nice. I think we have can we see this? Okay. One of the things that we heard everywhere we went is, it's broken. If you notice, there is a river going down this road. That's because the pipe is broken. Is anyone planning to fix it? No, it's just broken. It's still broken. Anyway. Yeah. Oops. Okay, here we go. So we decided, okay, we're going to just take a little walk on the beach. They have beaches. Well, you can't go to the beach unless you have somebody to come alongside and make sure you're safe. So we had this gentleman who walked with us. This guy, his name is Joe. And so, interesting, Joe, what he says, I speak English and I speak Arabic. I says, I've never heard of anyone speak Arabic in Papua New Guinea. Come to find out, he had a book, Algebra. I speak English and I got algebra. Okay. But we were walking the beach. We just wanted to be by ourselves, kind of a little bit romantic, walking, looking at shells and stuff like that. And he was hanging out right there with us. It's like, oh man, I wish this guy would just leave us alone, kind of thing. But after a while, I said, you know what, God? You appointed this guy to be our security. Why am I not thankful for that? I had to repent and say, okay. And so anyway, I finally gave him a book here so that he can know the gospel as well. So pray for Joe. Then I had these two pastors, Baptist pastors, Damien and Gershon, and so we sat and chatted and talked, and they said, oh yeah, we love this stuff, and here's their church, and there's Damien's wife, and then she comes out of the house here seconds later. Wait a second, I just gave you a Tuk Vision book. Now you have an English copy. Where'd you get that? Oh, I just bought one when I was out in town. Oh, okay. She says, I love it. I've been teaching the kids using this material. So it's okay, great. So Lord's already gone ahead of us there. And then this is another pastor and his son James there, and Pastor Gershon here. But here's some old relics from the mine, the copper mine. I mean, for them to do the copper mine, they need power, they need water, they need all these things in big rigs. And so this was, this area, Arawa, was one of the biggest cities, number 3 city in all of Papua New Guinea. Well, now you go there and it's very, very small. But anyway, but they had these big tanks and all kinds of stuff like that just to make the structure of the land to hold so they can do the mining. Somehow the mine, the tailings, if you're familiar with tailings, all polluted some of the ground. So there's all kinds of problems now here. And then kids with balloons. This is an alligator, what they call a puk-puk. And 4-hour bumpy roads. This is not fun. I paid extra for Lori to sit in the front seat, and she said, oh, the ride was okay. I was in the back. Us guys were just being thrashed back and forth for 4 hours. It's like, anyway. Well, finally, we got to the MAF building that they have. So this couple, Corinne and John, they were from MAF. They were sent here just as of March, so only a couple months now. And so they're setting up to see if they can help out. And there's 2 things. We're going to talk about the hospital and the airplanes. And so Corinne, she was there, and she said, okay, what can we do? And so she went to the house sick, or the hospital there. And when she went there, this concept of it's broken showed up. And I'll try to be nice here with some of the photos and stuff. But she's a nurse, and she wanted to help out. And she says, okay, how can I do things here? And they gave her 5 pages of things that she could help with. And she says, well, with my little money, I can't do much with 5 pages of everything's broken. She says, give me the top 10. Let's look at the top 10. But anyway, she calls her new ministry here 5 loaves and 2 fish. Jesus, seeing the large crowd, said, where do we buy bread? Philip said, 200 denarii won't even cut it. Andrew said to him, there's a lad here with 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. Okay, and so they feed that big gang with such little. And she says, yeah, that's what I feel like I'm trying to do. So she gets there to the hospital. First thing she sees is the sewage tank is overflowed. Okay, it's flooded over, so they move that out. The pipes are clogged, so they dig up the pipes, they buy new plugs. Then the bathroom was totally grossed out. I mean, it was flowing over the whole thing. And so they went, and several of them got in there. She just dug in, got her gloves on and everything, and they just started digging and shoveling it out. And so that was the first thing. I mean, if you were to go here, you would get sick. You wouldn't get better. They were saying that people came here to die is what happens. There was absolutely no privacy, so she hired some folks to sew, and they built these dividers here, and making sheets so you can actually be off the sheets and you could wash them and that kind of stuff. And then she said, oh, do you have gauze? She said, well, we got some. What happens when you run out? We just stop all surgeries and things like that. Anyway, just incredible how degraded the whole thing was. And so, let's see, yeah. Maybe it's the next one. Okay, I guess I don't see it. All right. And then this next part is airplane. So she's doing the hospital, and then the guy in the white, white collar there, shirt, That's John. He's doing the airplane. So they're trying to come in and set up a hangar. So they need $4 million. The government said, we'll give you 1 million kina towards that 4 million kina that's needed. And so they're going to put up a new hangar there. And so now they have a place to land, but the 19 other airstrips around are all jungle covered over. So they said, well, we'll pick 2 at a time. After we get that one, we'll clean them out and we'll start going back there. So that's kind of what they're planning to do. While we were there, they had a construction crew. I was able to pick up the book in Tukpisen and read lesson 4 to them. And just really exciting. As they listened to it in their own language there, they could understand, and they were answering some of my questions. So every day they just read one lesson, and they say, okay, your job for today is doing these different construction things. And so we took a picture of the construction group. And so each one of them had a book. I said, make sure you go home, teach your wife and your children the gospel message. And if anyone wanted to help the 5 loaves and 2 fish, jwoodbury@gmail.com is the way that you can contact them and learn more. So as we flew home, we said, okay, one night we're going to have a hotel that's more than a 1-star hotel. So we went to the 5-star hotel. I just wanted to bless my wife. And as we flew home, we left at 1:30 on Sunday, and we arrived here at 10:30 p.m. on Sunday after having traveled about 24 hours or something, whatever that was. It was crazy. It's kind of funny how that works. But our question as we get home is, what's next? I don't know. I felt like one of the nights when I had a dream, and I just like, Lord, what are you all about? 100,000. Oh man. You know how many books that is? And I don't know what the answer is. I just felt like that was the next thought. I'm not going to press that farther than what I know, but I'm asking the Lord, what is it that you want to do? Not what does Tom want to do. But so anyway. And so the question to you is also, what's next for you? I mean, we talk about purpose in life. And Jesus said to them, my food is to do the will of him who sent me and to accomplish his work. And so, again, what's our purpose in life? What are we supposed to do? What has God totally equipped you so that you can minister to people around you? You have only your life, if you have 70 years or 80 years, if you're lucky kind of thing. Whatever that is, what do you utilize your life for the kingdom, for the purposes of God? And my friend, I just had a phone call with my friend in Florida there. He took his family over to Papua New Guinea in the Dome tribe. And later on in this month of August, he's going to give away 1,000 copies of the New Testament in Dome. They spent their life doing this work. And so that's kind of what they did in this. And so not all of us have a chance to do that, but that's what he did. He, if you want to call it, wasted his life that he could get the gospel out in this one tribe there. But we're thankful that we can be used of God and to be laborers together. And I just started saying, okay, who are laborers together? Well, RMA, Worldwide Outreach, MAF, ROC, New Tribes, SIL, Shalom Baptist Church, the schools, the prisons, the Mapang. Oh, and you guys too. Thank you for your support, for prayers, finances. They go a long way as we do this kind of stuff. And to God be all the glory. Thank you so much.